So I'm Curtis Motzke. I'm the writer and director of the orchestra. And it's a short kind of atmospheric horror film that's set in a school on a stage.
I'm Tony Scott Green, and I worked with Curtis, and I'm the composer of the music for the orchestra.
I'm Jillian Butcher, and I don't know, did she have a name? Girl. I was the girl. That was the girl who got spooked. She just went. She loves the clarinet.
Just like I was visiting, I'm trying to remember exactly why I was in Ann Arbor, Michigan at the time, visiting my brother. But I was in the car with him and his, at the time, fiance, now wife. And we saw this young woman crossing the street with an instrument case. And she was just really interestingly dressed. And she, like, one of us said that she seems like she came out of like a horror movie, which is a weird, mean thing to say, I guess. But
And then he met me and he was like, she's perfect.
But I don't know, it was just like, it was creepy because she was just like all alone and like in a zone. And then we literally just went to like a bar afterwards, and just where we were going anyway. But like kind of did like a whole initial outline of like the feature idea first. And the opening of that kind of idea is basically what the short is. So it's weird that I actually had a little bit of the feature concept in mind first before the short. So yeah, so I had to begrudgingly give my brother and sister-in-law a story by credit out of guilt. It's definitely like well, I want to say well planned out, but like there were a lot of like happy accidents in it too, because I definitely mapped out a lot of the scenes where like having those like intense close-ups of her playing and really getting that kind of build of like, you know, the clanking of the instrument and stuff like that, because, you know, as Tony will speak to, is like we had these kind of like big bombastic moments of music, and I really wanted there to be like a good build soundscape wise, and the people at Noise Floor were awesome at helping us kind of like, you know, layer a whole bunch of stuff in with what we recorded on set, and kind of, and yeah, keeping like some of those imperfections of her playing, because I didn't want it to sound like, you know, she was, you know, like it was a musical thing that was just totally done in post and, you know, too clean. But yeah, mixing in some of those kind of hand movements and stuff with like the chairs moving, and like how much we did with the music was really like a hard balance to get, but I think we eventually got there pretty good.
Well, the first thing is the fact that you're not sure whether it really is Jillian playing or not is really a testament to Jillian and Curtis. So, and maybe the music, maybe the combination of those things really seems to work well. But we started off, score-wise, there's really three things in there. There's the audition, the solo clarinet piece that Jillian's character plays. And so we started with that first. And then there are also some big bombastic moments with the full orchestra. So that could go in later. But then once we had so we worked on the solo clarinet piece first and kind of went back and forth on that. We wanted to have something that would be, in some ways, it's sort of her audition for the Ghost Orchestra. You know, we realized that afterwards. But so we wanted to have something that was really sounded like a really free and kind of lyrical, but also kind of, I guess, haunting. And so after several iterations, I don't know how many versions we did, Curtis.
Yeah, probably at least 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah. Then we came up with this version, and then that's what we really liked, and that's what Jillian kind of rehearsed to. But you'd played clarinet, or had you played clarinet?
A little bit, right?
A little bit?
I had played for a couple of months in 5th grade before I decided to try out for drums. And so I was like, I know how to put this together. I know how your mouth is supposed to go on a reed and where your hands go. And
which was more than I knew, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was a little savant, so it just kind of like came back. Yeah.
This might be the best I'm gonna get, is what my casting.
Thanks, Curtis. Yeah.
So I made up the clarinet piece, and then we had a musician play it, and this is going back. We had her, and she played it, and then she recorded. She recorded herself, recorded video of herself playing it, the fingering, so that Jillian could study that. And so we had that's kind of a clarinet double. She was our stunt clarinetist.
Yeah, and that was honestly like doable for the first like 8 measures, and then past that it got a little complicated, and I think Curtis was generous and made the camera focus on some other things than my fingers past that point.
I do know there was one point where Curtis said, "Hey, could we just slide that one note in a little bit, a little tighter, just so we're lined up in the fingers?" So that was that was the root of it all. And then there's something else in there. The third part of the music is there's some weird underscore, and what we did there was I think, Curtis, we've been talking about maybe A Ghost Story and probably Hereditary.
Yeah.
And we like the way that those two composers, Daniel Hart and Colin Stetson, used the instrument noise to almost make it sound like a synth. And so what we did was we took the natural sound of the clarinet notes and we stretched them like 50 or 60 times. And so when you do that, you think everything just gets smeared, but what you hear almost, it's like all the air particles. It's almost like these granulations of sound in there. It sounds really incredible. But what you're hearing is the air moving through the clarinet. But now it's almost like you can hear the little particles moving. And so all that, the weird underscore, the musical underscore we used was based on taking the clarinet sounds and just stretching them like 50 times until they're almost unrecognizable.
Oh, it's great, because honestly, like the number one thing as an actor for me that I'm always like hypercritical of is my voice. So I was like, here we go. Like, and I already had to focus so much on there were no lines to learn, and instead I had to learn how to fake playing this instrument. And so like that kind of took its place as like what my prep was for it. And then as far as like going into it, knowing that it was fully dependent on how I was emoting, I just like told myself to keep it like really small as possible, because I knew there's going to be a lot of tight shots on me, and anything I did was going to be under a microscope, and physically I have a tendency to go big.
We shot it in 2 days. Jillian loves when I say that we only had her for 1 day. But we had one extra day, or one like half day of preps that we kind of loaded everything in. We were able to set it overnight. And then, yeah, the first day we shot, kind of all those cutaways and stuff without Jillian separate. And then obviously rehearsed a couple of things without her in the block.
I just gifted you with loads of coverage.
So I've gone through several rewrites during quarantine of the feature. It was over 120 pages at one point, and now it's down to like 92. So that's good. So it's a lot kind of leaner. I've been sending out to a lot of people, kind of locally, investor people, producer people, but also in LA. So there's been some interest there. It is kind of weird to like plan for any like actual production, obviously, and then there's some aspects of the feature as it plays out now that does have like a couple crowd scenes, and I'm like, well, is this a thing that's going to be possible in the future? But trying not to think too much about that and just kind of let it, live in the best way that the story asks for. But yeah, I'm hoping we can do something with it soon in some form or another. How that plays out exactly, I don't know yet, but I'm pretty happy with how it's sitting now.
I'll jump in. Well, I'm actually working on a film with Curtis right now, which is kind of in the can and has a distribution deal. And I'm just working on, we had to, we're kind of retrofitting a classical score to it. So I'm doing kind of sample mock-ups of all the classical pieces we're going to put in there. And so that is on a pretty short deadline. So I think I need to get that to Curtis by Friday.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Zoom has to wrap up so Tony can get back to work.
Yeah. So yeah. So and for me as a composer, I've been lucky in that because I live in a soundproof glass box essentially, which you can see behind me here. I mean, I work on the post side, so luckily because I had some projects that had already shot and a lot of other stuff that's being shot remotely, I've been able to keep working. So I'm very happy and lucky and grateful that I'm able to do that. But I should plug Curtis' project. So
it's a film that I produced with some friends from college. It's called Sexual Animals. It's a weird kind of like quirky indie dramedy, I guess, that I also shot when we did it a couple years ago and went to a few festivals. But then, yeah, it's going to be released digitally, I think in December. So we're just still finalizing the deal.